Hey, yo, welcome into a brand new episode of the Review at Rob Show. Appreciate you hitting that click and play in this episode, man. Bringing you in to have some fun this week. Back after a week vacation, man. So I didn't have an episode last week to review Beetlejuice. But as you can see in the title of this, I will be giving my spoiler-free review of Beetlejuice weeks later as the movie's been out and people have gone to see it and had their chances to check it out because it is number one 2 weeks in a row and has been doing very well at the box office. So I'm going to give you my thoughts on the film as well. I'm going to talk some news that's been going on. Got some good DC stuff to talk about. Got some Wizarding World stuff to talk about for you. And I'm going to talk about my recent trip, the vacation that I was on. I won't go in full details on a lot of things, but we'll talk about it just because, that's what you do on these shows, man. So again, appreciate you joining in. Let's have a little fun. Let's not bury the lead any longer. Let's go ahead and jump into it. Beetlejuice, if you've not seen it already, is rated PG-13 for macabre and bloody images, brief drug use, some strong suggestive material, strong language, and violent content. The film runs in at 1 hour and 44 minutes. It is considered a comedy fantasy film like most Tim Burton movies are. It is still in theaters at the moment. Synopsis goes as Beetlejuice is back. After an unexpected family tragedy, 3 generations of the Dietz family return home to Winter River. Still haunted by Beetlejuice, Lydia's life is turned upside down when her rebellious teenage daughter, Astrid, discovers the mysterious model of the town in the attic, and the portal to the afterlife is accidentally opened. With trouble brewing in both realms, it's only a matter of time until someone says Beetlejuice's name 3 times, and the mischievous demon returns to unleash his very own brand of mayhem. Like I mentioned, this movie has been out for a couple weeks now and is doing very, very well at the box office. It's only a matter of time before they announce the third one, right? Because you got to do the 3 names. I'm not going to say it in a row because I don't need Beetlejuice over here causing mayhem. But go ahead and give you my thoughts on the movie, and probably won't go too long on this because, again, the film has been out for quite some time. But overall, for me, when I saw it, I was very hyped to see it because I do love the first Beetlejuice movie. It came out the same year I was born, so I got a connection with it that way, and always had a good time with that movie. That movie's, the first movie is just icon status with so many people. Tim Burton nailed it with that movie. Michael Keaton's fantastic as the character of Beetlejuice. Winona Ryder, Lydia Dietz, of course, Alec Baldwin, Gina Davis, the whole cast is great in that first movie. You can't really complain about that first movie at all. And if you do, you're stretching, right? Like that movie is fantastic from all gets and goes. So when this movie was announced, a lot of excitement after it was finally officially announced, right? Because there was always those rumors for a long time. Oh, Beetlejuice is going to Hawaii or whatever. And then, oh, they've announced a Beetlejuice sequel and fake posters, fan posters have come up online and all that stuff. And it's always just kind of never going to happen, but eventually it did end up happening. And we saw the trailers, we saw the images, we saw the posters. We heard about how they were making, how they wanted to keep it as original and use real props and everything like they did back in the day when they made the first movie. So they went into the movie trying to do it justice, and I think, in my honest opinion, they did do it very well justice. I think there's not much of a miss between the first movie and this movie, even though they're so many years apart. I think what they put together was very strong. I think the story of the movie is very well done. Can't really complain about anything story wise with this movie. They kept it to the right beat. They needed to do what they needed to do, and they nailed it perfectly. Michael Keaton being back in the character feels just like it was back in '88. It just looks newer. It looks newer. It's got that fresh coat of paint on it, or whatever you want to call it. But it looks shinier. It looks newer. It looks fresher, and all that stuff. But it works, and that's that kind of that worry you have when they do a movie sequel decades later, is how well it's going to work and if it's going to feel as good as the first one does. And I think this is one of those movies that does really feel as good as it did with the first watch. Again, I watched Beetlejuice before seeing this one, right? Before going to the early preview screening of this one. And it's night and day. Those two are fantastic together. They work perfectly, seamlessly how they work together, even after all this time. So all that's great. Story's great. Cast again, fantastic. We've got Michael Keaton returning as Beetlejuice, obviously, which we needed. We've got Winona Ryder back as Lydia Dietz. Kind of mentioned it in the synopsis there. She's still haunted by Beetlejuice, right? She's living her life now. Remember the last time we saw Lydia, she was floating in the air singing the song, right? And all that, but she's still haunted by the past experiences she's gone through with Beetlejuice and all those things, and what her character's abilities and all that going through the years, and catching up with her was great and seeing how she's doing and everything there. We also have Catherine O'Hara back as Delia Dietz. She's great. I mean, I think Catherine O'Hara needs the biggest round of applause of all round of applauses, just in general, because she's a fantastic actress. Everything she does is just gold, and in this movie is no freaking loss. She's fantastic, makes sense, perfect. And that's something I love about this movie as well, is it makes all the characters work. Like all of them in this time frame, after these decades that's been since that first movie, work perfectly. And they gave great stories for all of them in this movie to work out very well. Uh, you've got, of course, new characters joining the fold here with, of course, Jenna Ortega, who is a fantastic actress, as we know, easily the next generation scream queen, right? That's what she gets called as. Um, and she's good. I like her character Astrid in the movie. I mean, obviously she's good. She's been good in pretty much everything I've seen her in, and I like her character as Astrid. I like that it's not a carbon copy of Lydia from the '88 film. I like that Astrid has her own kind of vibe and her own kind of feels and all that stuff. And Jenna does a good job bringing that into the fold. And it's good to see how she plays off of everything that's going on in the movie, and how she plays off of Winona Ryder's character and Catherine O'Hara's characters in the film. I think that was very well done. We've got Justin Theroux in this movie, who's just his character's ridiculous. It's ridiculous by all means, but that's the way the character's supposed to be, and he does a good job there. William Dafoe does a great job in the movie as well. So, an extremely solid cast from up all the way down to bottom. Like, there's not much to really hate about the movie. There's nothing really to hate about the movie. If there's one thing that I had to point out about the movie that I didn't necessarily enjoy, and maybe it's nitpicky, I don't know, but I don't think it's nitpicky to me. The villain of the film, right? You got to have a villain, and the villain of the film, I'm going to mess up her name, played by Monica Bellucci. Um, she looks fantastic. The actress is doing a great job. There's no issues whatsoever there by any means. I think something got lost in the writing here with this character, because this character is OP, if you will, overpowered. And I think, trying to figure out a way to battle that character was a little bit lost to me. Don't hate it. I understand what they did. I get what they did. I get the homage to the original movie and all that stuff. But it seems like they kind of put themselves in a corner when it came to that character. But again, that could just be me. I don't know. But didn't hate the movie, didn't ruin the movie for me by any means. Still a very solid film, easily one of the top 10 favorite films of the year for me. We'll see where that ends up falling as the year goes on. There's still some things coming out that I need to see. There's some movies I missed while on vacation that I need to check out. But overall, Beetlejuice is a very, very solid sequel, very great movie, and stands to be one of those films where it's like, okay, this can be done correctly, especially if you do it the right way. And, putting Tim Burton and Michael Keaton back together there and letting them be creative and letting Tim do his magic and make it like the original film worked out very well. So again, that movie's been number one at the box office for 2 weeks now. It's still going solid. It's going strong. Not really gonna be knocked down anytime soon. I don't think. There's really any competition coming out anytime soon until the Joker comes out in a couple weeks. That would be its first competition, I think, and then by that time, a lot of people probably have seen Beetlejuice, so it's either a lot of rewatches and all that. But overall, for me, Beetlejuice is a very solid return to the character that worked out very well. So those are my thoughts on the film. So they're free, of course. Let me know your thoughts. Hopefully you have seen Beetlejuice by this point. If you're not, what are you doing? Go see it. Go have a good time. It's worth seeing in theaters. An hour, 40 minutes. Doesn't even feel like it, man. That movie's easy breezy, funny, comedy, good time movie. Does have heart in it, all that good stuff, but easy film. Easy to watch, man. And it's been a while since I've seen it. I'm pretty sure there's not a credit scene. I don't think there's any need for a credit scene, really. Let's see, Beetlejuice 2, no post-credit scene or mid-credit scene. So, which makes sense. I mean, there's no need for that. But if they want to make a sequel, why wouldn't you? This movie's made a ton of money, but don't rush into it, obviously. You want to let it live on its own for a while and let it continue to build the way it's building and do how it does. So, it's still got a couple weeks here where it can, have a good run. I don't know that Transformers will be the movie that tops it. I don't know how many people are excited to see that movie, the animated movie. I know there's some excitement for it, and I'm not knocking it. I haven't seen the movie, so I can't really judge it. But I don't see it being competition. We'll see how things goes. But again, Joker's coming out in a couple weeks. That should be the film that knocks Beetlejuice out of number one. But again, those are my thoughts on the movie. Let me know what you were thinking about it. So yeah, there you go. Jumping into news now before we talk about trip stuff. I'm going to save trip stuff for the end because I don't, let's get to the news. And if you want to hear about my trip, it'll be there at the end, babies. So I think it's necessary. I talked about DC a good bit here. So let's go ahead and jump into DC news. First off, Shazam 2 has been brought up. People asking if it is canon to the DCU. Now, if you saw Shazam 2, you're one of the few people who saw it. But if you saw Shazam 2, which I don't want to knock it too much, Rachel Zegler is fantastic in the movie. If I had to say something good about it, love her. She's good in the movie. It's being brought up if that movie's canon to the DCU. Of course, the DCU not connected at all to the DCEU. That is the previous universe that was created, the Zack Snyder universe in the DC world. Since James Gunn and Peter Safran have come in, they have created this new branding in DC that's going to be known as the DCU, which officially starts with Creature Commandos later this year, and the first live action movie will be Superman next year in July. So somebody asked James Gunn if Shazam 2 would be considered canon based on the fact that previously in Shazam 2 we do see Peacemaker characters, Harcourt and Economist, and wondering if does that mean it's going to be connected to anything? Because, of course, Peacemaker is James Gunn's property and all that. Not his property, but that was the thing he's working on, right? So James Gunn answered this question by saying, quote, "You don't need to be confused here. It's not canon. I don't know now or then what Harcourt or Economists have to do with the Justice Society," end quote. So, catch you up here. He was never a fan of them being in that movie or Black Adam. A lot of people assumed that he was behind all that stuff. He was not behind it. He never really understood why they were part of it and didn't like it. So needless to say, he's not going to continue that storyline, obviously. And again, they're building their own story here in the DCU. The stuff that happened in the DCEU is not canon to anything that's going on here. We know that the Blue Beetle character played by I'm forgetting the actor's name, but we know that he's still going to play that character, but that movie does not exist in the DCU. There is a Peacemaker season 2 that's going to be a part of the DCU, but it's not. I don't know. That's the part that kind of gets on me a little bit. It's like, it's season 2, so I was like, what's season 1? But I don't know. Who knows? We'll see. Viola Davis still playing Amanda Waller and all that stuff. There are things that I can see why people are getting confused with. This is why I love James Gunn. He will answer these things for you. So if you ask those questions, he's going to answer them for you. And then I will bring those answers to you on the show as I am doing right now. Let's see. The Hollywood Reporter has reported that Josh Brolin has turned down the opportunity to play Hal Jordan in the upcoming Lanterns show. I looked for this on James Gunn's page. I haven't seen him address this in any way. If he did, I did not see it. So we'll just have to go with what the Hollywood Reporter is saying here. Josh Brolin, great actor, obviously. He's known mostly for Thanos, right? And then he played freaking Cable, right? So I'm fine with him not being Hal Jordan. I never really would have expected him or thought of him to be Hal Jordan to begin with. But I think, it's interesting. There was also a rumor of Matthew McConaughey playing the character as well, but that's been shot down as well from Hollywood Reporter. So who knows? Who's going to end up playing that? The Lantern show and all that. We have to wait and see what happens. Is this where Chris Pratt comes in? Because we know Chris Pratt's going to be in something, a DC wise. And I kind of see him playing Hal Jordan. He's a snarky, sarcastic character, right? So who knows? We have to wait and see what the casting does with that. But at the moment, there is no Hal Jordan cast for the Lantern show. So we have to wait and see what happens there. And I don't even know, are they working? I believe they're working on the script. I know James Gunn said they don't really cast people till they've done the script. So we got to wait and see, man. Obviously, that stuff will be announced when it's time to be announced. Now let's see some Batman news. So the Batman exists as a DC Studios deal, but it's in the Elseworlds. So the Elseworlds are going to be these Batman movies. The Penguin show that's releasing this week. As the release of this episode, the Penguin series is officially starting on Max. That'll be out. The Joker film is coming out later this year in a couple weeks. Actually, that's all considered DC Elseworlds. It's not connected to the DCU story that's being told. So the Batman update here for us from Matt Reeves gave us some information here, saying, quoting, first off, saying, quote, we're finishing up the script now for the Batman Part 2, and the plan is to shoot next year. Now, remember, Warner Brothers has announced the change of the release date for the Batman. It was always supposed to come out next year. They pushed it to 2026, October 2nd, to be precise. So it's good to know they're working on the script. They're finishing it up and they'll start shooting next year. So they seem to be on pace over there, what they're working on. It's good to know they're about finished with the script as well. Let us know where things are moving. Just mentioned the Penguin. Colin Farrell will be a part of the movie, confirmed by Matt Reeves, saying that they've shared the script as we've been going along with DC and the studio, and they're all super excited over there. So that's good news. More information here. The Batman universe will be expanding upon the Penguin series. So Matt Reeves has said that the show will be the entry point into the Batman 2, adding that, quote, there are details that actually connect right into the way the next movie begins and the way that Oswald Cobblepot, of course, the way that Oz enters that world as we hand the baton back to Batman and Batman is on another case, end quote. So if you've seen the trailer for the Penguin, you see that a lot of it's taking place after the ending of the Batman movie. And then after this, according to what Matt Reeves is saying here, going off of that, after the events of the Penguin is going to lead into the Batman. I like that. I think that's perfect. That sounds good to me. Let's go and do that. And then as for the Batman sequel itself, Reeves has said, quote, it's going to dig into the epic story about deeper corruption and goes into places that he couldn't anticipate in the first film. The seeds of where this goes are all in the first movie. It expands in a way that will show you aspects of the character you never got to see, end quote. Which I love. I've been on record that the this Batman film, may be my favorite Batman movie of all time. I like the way they handled everything. I like the way that it's a detective story. That is what Batman is to me. He's a freaking detective, the Dark Knight detective. So I love that they're doing that, and they're going to expand more into stuff like this and expand off of what they did in the first Batman movie. Perfect. Bring it on. As far as villains and all this stuff, not really fully known at the moment. There's a rumor that'll be taking place in winter time. So, of course, a lot of people are like, ooh, bring in Mr. Freeze. If they want to do that, cool. I'm just here to see the movie. So bring on whatever you need to bring on. I will be there to watch said thing. All right, that'll wrap it up for the DC corner, but I'm pretty much guess staying in a Warner Brothers world here. We're going to jump into the Wizarding world with the next bit of news is before I close out the show with my trip talk. Harry Potter. Both of these things will be Harry Potter, of course. We're in the Wizarding world. The Harry Potter show we know about. If you did not know, they are doing a TV series over on HBO, or it's just called Max now. Or is it going to be on HBO? I don't know. That's all got confusing at this point. But they're doing a show. They're doing a TV series that is expected to run for 7 seasons, being each book being turned into a season of the series, which a lot of people have hoped for because if you heard from Harry Potter fans, the books had so much more information that the movies didn't put in there. I'm a guy who, loved the movies and the books. So who knows? Imagine that. But they have officially, HBO has opened a casting call for our 3 stars of the series. Of course, Harry, obviously, Harry Potter, Hermione Granger, and Ron Weasley. The casting call has been put out for that. The casting call is looking for, of course, children who will be between the ages of 9 and 11 in April of 2025, who are, of course, residents of the UK and Ireland, which fits. They normally want to cast UK or Ireland people for the film, so that makes sense. The notice also says the casting will be inclusive to all races, ethnics, and gender identities. Quote, we are committed to inclusive, diverse casting for every role. Please submit qualified performers without regarding to ethnicity, sex, disability, race, sexual orientation, gender identity, or any other basis protected by law unless otherwise specified here. So I've seen some people complaining about that. They're worried about they'll change how Harry, Ron, and Hermione look and all that stuff. As long as the show's entertaining and they do a good enough job, I'm fine. I don't really care. I love the Wizarding World, like the stuff that's been created there. So do what you got to do. Don't be, just don't be overly. How do you want to say it? Don't act like you have to do something to please other people. Cast accordingly to what the perfect um, casting audition goes through, is all I'm going to say there. As for a release date for the series, we do not have one currently. What we do know, spoke about a while back, we'll say again here, Warner Brothers Discovery CEO David Zaslav, who, of course, we have a bit of an issue with. We don't like David Zaslav too much, but it's what we have to deal with here, has said back in February, I believe, that they were looking for a 2026 release date for the series. So the shows will be uh, expected to release then, and again will be 7 seasons is the expectation, as long as people watch it and all that stuff. And of course it'll be based on the adaptations of the J.K. Rowling series, so we'll see how everything goes out there for the series and all that. Again, I love the Wizarding World, I love these Harry Potter stories, so I'm excited for that show. Fantastic Beasts side, don't really know what's happening there. It's probably done, but we'll wait and see. I know that's hasn't officially been announced as done or anything. I haven't seen any news that said, nope, we're done doing that stuff. But I know it's very much on the back burner. Now, successful side here is the video games. Now, they did really just release the Quidditch Champions game, which I do plan on playing. Probably do that tomorrow while I'm off recovering from my trip. But while I'll check that out, right? Excited for that game, but Hogwarts Legacy was a huge success for Warner Brothers video game division. And I've talked about this before on the show. It is very much expected and pretty much guaranteed that they're doing a sequel to that, which was recently talked about from Warner Brothers Discovery CFO, saying, quote, obviously a successor to Hogwarts Legacy is one of the biggest priorities in a couple of years down the road. They are currently looking, so there is currently a significant growth contribution from the games business in our strategic outlook here, which, to be fair, they need a win there. I don't know how Quidditch Champions is doing. It's a pretty new game, but Hogwarts Legacy was a huge success for them, obviously, and the sequel I would assume would do very well as well. But the recent DC game they put out, Suicide Squad killed the Justice League, did terrible business for them. They lost a ton of money with that, so they need a win on the video games division. So I would assume they're gonna try to do as much as they can to get Hogwarts Legacy out as quickly as possible. Video game making takes a good amount of time. So, and of course, we don't want them to rush it. We want a good story, want a good gameplay experience and all that. You have the tools from the first game to continue on, obviously, but you want to not sacrifice anything in the rushing of making these things. As far as the DC games go, the Batman Arkham games have been successful. Gotham Knights takes place in the Arkham universe. That wasn't successful. So you need to go back to the drawing board there and figure out what do people want. Obviously, they want Batman. Batman's a huge thing. As much as Suicide Squad seems fun, I haven't played it yet. The idea of killing the Justice League, I don't think anybody's necessarily interested in doing that. So they kind of put themselves in a tough spot there. Plus, they made it like pay to play in some areas, from what I understand. So, or free to play or whatever happened with that game. So, like, stuff happened with that game that people were just not happy about. So, from all the stuff I've seen, it seems like a fun game. But again, I haven't been hands on with it, so I can't really fully tell you on that or Gotham Knights. I own Gotham Knights, but I haven't played it. But that's a whole other story about me and time to play video games. But there you go, man. That's going to be news. And I gave you my Beetlejuice review. If you want to hear about my trip, that's what I'm going to go into now. So, like I mentioned earlier, I was on vacation, so I didn't have a release last week for Beetlejuice. Would have been more timely, but, hey, life and vacation. So, yes, went on a vacation recently, my yearly trip down to Orlando for Halloween Horror Nights. Now this year I did a little bit of a added on thing with the trip to where I went down there early. I like to go down early, get a couple days to just chill, relax, vibe out in the hotel and all that stuff. And I stayed at the same hotel, Aventura again. Absolutely love Aventura. If you get the chance to go down Universal, stay at Aventura. Easily great hotel. Ask for a theme park view. Just opening the window, looking out across from it, seeing the two parks, seeing Islands of Adventure, mostly Islands of Adventure, and seeing the Universal Studios side. Fantastic. Nothing beats that for me. So I got that first night. I stayed there. I had a volcano view, which is their water park. Cabana Bay, you get to see their volcano, Krakatoa. I like to call it Krakatoa, but get to see that. A great view there and all that stuff. But I went down there early because I got a ticket for Mickey's Not So Scary Halloween Party. First time ever going to that. First time returning to Disney in, I want to say 5 or more years. And I was very excited about it. I was watching videos constantly on YouTube, getting amped up for it. I wanted to check it out. I love Halloween. I love Halloween time. I like Disney a good bit. Love Hocus Pocus, and they have a Hocus Pocus show. So I was like, cool, man, I'll go there. Jack and Sally meet and greet and all that stuff. That seems cool. So I got a ticket. I went ahead and splurged, got a ticket to go down there to do that. Very excited about it. So go to Disney, get on what is it, trolley or whatever that picks you up in the parking lot. You park your car. There's a tram, trolley, whatever you want to call it, that'll pick you up there, and it'll take you to the other transportation area. A lot of transportation. Takes you to the other transportation area where you can take the monorail or the ferry boat. I, of course, took the ferry boat because that thing's awesome. Again, I haven't been there in a couple years, but for me, going to Disney, that ferry boat is part of it. I want to be on that ferry boat because it's just cool. It's an easy ride up there, and it's just the view you see of going up there. You see the castle, you see the opening gates, you see Space Mountain over there. So cool, so worth it. So got on that. Here's where the problem comes in. So the night I was there for Mickey's Not So Scary, when I got, weather was fine. Weather was fine until I got on the ferry boat. Once I got on the ferry boat, it started downpouring, and it did not stop raining until I left. Like, it was raining the whole time I was there, which sucked. If you ever been just stuck in rain, which this is Florida, this is gonna happen. Um, so I got stuck in rain, and at that point I was like, well, I already paid for the ticket. I'm not gonna get this money back. So I gotta make the most of this. I gotta deal with it. I gotta make the most of it. I'm soaking wet. Hate it. Sucks. But what can you do? Again, already paid for the ticket. I'm here for the experience. And like, again, it's Florida. Maybe it'll stop. Maybe give it some time. It'll stop. So I'm walking in. I get my trick or treat bag, which is cool. It's like pretty much a souvenir they give you for the trip because there is trick or treating that happens at this event. So they have certain areas out there where you take your bag, you go up there, you say trick or treat, they put candy in there for you and all that stuff. So it's a cool added element, mostly for the kiddos, but for me, fat kid, I was happy to get some candy. So did that, had a great time with getting candy. Obviously, who doesn't like to get candy? Problem is, here's a little tidbit for you. If it's raining, try to keep that bag as closed as much as possible. Now, the candy you're getting is solid candy, like it's Mars candy, Mars, M&Ms, Snickers, Milky Way, Three Musketeers, Skittles, all that stuff, like solid, real Twix, all good candy. The problem is if water gets in the bag, apparently some of those wrappers cannot hold up to it. I'm looking at you, M&Ms, because the first candy you get going in there's a big bag, like regular size bag of M&M peanut butter M&Ms, and the water got into my bag and just dissolved that bag and just got sticky candy all over the rest of my candy. It was a nightmare, which kind of adds into the whole thing. All the other candy was fine. Starburst was fine. Skittles was fine. Snickers, all that stuff. I guess just something with M&M's bag. I guess it's paper. I've never really paid attention to M&M's bag, but anything M&M's is going to dissolve. So keep it closed up if it's raining as best as you possibly can. There's not really a close on it, so you'd have to like squeeze it while you're walking or whatever. So there's that. And again, just dealing with the rain, walking through the rain here. And I was trying to make the best of it because again, there's nothing I can do about this. It's Mother Nature. You can't really do anything about it. just have to deal with it. So I was like, screw it. I'm right here at this point where I was walking through it. I'm like, okay, what? I'm gonna get on a couple rides here. I'm right here by 2 rides. I'm gonna get on these rides. Maybe, hopefully, it'll stop raining by the time we get out of here. So what I do is I got on Peter Pan's flight, which Peter Pan's flight's normally a huge long wait from what I've looked at, and it just reopened recently because they changed one of the scenes in it or updated one of the scenes in it. Again, I haven't been there in a long time, so I got on that. It was fun. It was good to get on. I made this joke while I was at Universal this week. I'm like, it's pretty much ET. Like ET and Peter Pan are pretty much the same ride, but it's still cool. I can see the classic aspect of it. It's still a fun enough time. And again, time killer. Get me off my feet. Let me sit down. Deal with the fact that I'm soaking wet right now, and just get through it. So that's what I did there. Rode that ride. Get out of there, and still raining. I'm like, okay, screw it. I'm going across this other ride, which was It's a Small World. So very classic Disney ride. It's a Small World. Get that song stuck in your head. Probably got it stuck in your head now because I said the name a couple times. And fine, enjoyable ride. Creepy for some people, I guess, but fine. Again, it's raining. I don't want to be out in the rain. I'm going to be on this ride. And where I give Disney credit is that their rides are a lot friendlier to people like myself who are insanely overweight and and like a big person. So I can ride their stuff as long as it's not like a roller coaster or anything like that. Kind of got the hiccups I'm fighting through right now. Apologize, but and I haven't done the show in a while, so talking a lot. I don't talk much, anyways. So, um, getting on that ride, Peter Pan was fine. Getting on this ride, it's like a little water boat that you're on, and thankfully I got like my own row. Which again, bravo to Disney, they'll give you like your own row or your own seat or things. And it's a tiny ride, man. So even if I didn't have the weight issue, I'm too tall for it. So I had to like maneuver my ankles and knees in a way that just wasn't comfortable. But I'm not in the rain, right? And it's a fine ride. I mean, it does what it does. It gives you time. I get out of there, still raining, right? It's still raining. It's off. It's not gonna stop. It either drizzles hard enough or it pours. It doesn't stop raining at all. And at that point, I'm like, I can forget about the parade, right? And I can forget about the Hocus Pocus show. They're not going to happen. And I'm asking the Disney workers anytime I get by them while I'm trick or treating or whatever. I'm like, have you heard anything about the shows? Are they going to happen? It's like, we don't know, and all that stuff. And I'm like, all right. Pretty much my history with theme parks, I know these things aren't going to happen, right? Because it's raining. So I'm like, all right, screw it, whatever. New plan, new goal for the night to make it success. Go to the Haunted Mansion, which is my all-time favorite Disney ride. Go to the Haunted Mansion, have a good time with that. Go meet Jack and Sally, which is one of the main reasons you came to this event. So Haunted Mansion's next first goal here. Going longer on this talk than expected, but I'm enjoying this. So go in there, and this becomes its own issue as well because again, I have not been at the Disney parks in a while. I know the Universal parks better than the Disney parks. I couldn't find Haunted Mansion to save my life. Very dark. If there are anything pointing you to areas, I couldn't see them. I know what you're thinking. Hey, pull up the app and look at the map and all that stuff. I tried that. It's raining. So if you have a smartphone, maybe this doesn't happen for all smartphones. I don't know. But if you have a smartphone, it's raining. The drops on the screen are going to start hitting buttons itself. So trying to look at the map while raindrops are happening is its own problem. And so I was trying to follow that and it just kept messing up because of the rain. So I'm like, screw it. I'm going to figure this out at some point. I'm asking people where the Haunted Mansion are. They're like, it's over there. I'm like, cool. I go that way. Somehow I end up right back where I was at. I'm like, what am I doing wrong? And I'm getting rained on. It's just miserable experience. But I'm like, whatever. I'm going to find the Haunted Mansion. I keep chugging along. Finally get to an area where I hear the classic Haunted Mansion music. Like, okay, this should be the right area, right? But at the same time, like I'm at a Halloween event, they're playing Halloween music throughout the park. Maybe this is just background music that they're playing right now. But I'm gonna keep going forward because this looks different, and I haven't been here yet tonight. And thankfully, this was the Haunted Mansion. Now, unfortunately, the Haunted Mansion had a huge wait time because the Haunted Mansion is a very popular ride. Also, did not know this at this point, but the Haunted Mansion kept stopping every like couple of seconds. So I waited in line again, just standing in the rain, and poor Disney cast member who had to hold the sign saying this is where the line starts was out there in the rain as well, in costume. Just freaking unbelievable experience. But get in there, do the Haunted Mansion. Absolutely love it, obviously. I love that ride to death. It's my favorite thing Disney's ever done. And theme park wise, overall wise, we'll have to think about that more. But it's my favorite theme park thing. And it's not the Nightmare Before Christmas. They only do that in Hollywood because in Florida's a vacation destination. We can't change the overlay like Disneyland's not. But whatever, whatever stupid reasons they have to give there. But did the ride, had a great time. Again, it did stop every now and then, which I think Haunted Mansion's pretty much done for a long time now. But I enjoy. I'm fine. Like that ride is happy place for me. So sitting in there and it stopping, being like, "We'll continue in a moment" or whatever. Or ghosts have overtaken our ride or whatever they say. That's funny, but it's still just an absolutely great experience. Absolutely great theme park attraction. And I did get it stopped for a good amount of time in the graveyard scene of the ride. So the song's just playing along and I'm just sitting in my seat vibing and dancing and rocking back and forth and singing the song the whole time. So good experience, good positive experience out of that. And then I leave there again. That's one goal taken care of. Next goal to take care of to make it a successful night for me, go meet Jack and Sally, which those are the characters from the Nightmare Before Christmas, if you're not aware. And that wait is normally very, very long for them. Um, so when I walked to the park at the beginning, and it was raining, I was like, one of my first thoughts was, all right, I'll go get in line and wait for this now. Maybe the rain will go away. But I saw the wait time was like 2 hours. I'm like, never mind. I'd come back later at a later time because I've heard of a tip when it comes to doing that meet and greet where you can get it at a lesser time. So when I was walking back to the front, I saw all these people gathering around outside, around the castle and all that stuff. I'm like, what are they doing? Is the parade about to happen? Is it actually going to happen even though it's raining? And I asked one of the team members, like, the fireworks show is scheduled to happen now. I'm like, is it going to happen? He's like, we're not sure yet. We won't know until the time that's supposed to start and all that. I'm like, okay, whatever. So, right, no help whatsoever. But I'm like, okay. Do you know anything about Hocus Pocus? Like, oh, we won't know until it starts. I'm like, I'm not waiting around for that. So I'm like, I'm gonna go to the Jack and Sally meet and greet because all these people are out here now, and this is the tip: go see meet Jack and Sally during the fireworks show. Now, the firework performance is different for Mickey's Not So Scary, but I'm okay. I didn't necessarily need to see the fireworks personally, and then even if there were maybe not going to happen anyways, why wait out here and wait for that maybe and then just get disappointed, or go do something you wanted to do. And I chose to go towards the Jack and Sally meet and greet, which was a good move because while everybody was out here waiting for the possibilities of the fireworks, I was in line for Jack and Sally for only a 25-minute wait. And remember, I just told you a moment ago, it was up at 2 hours when I got there, and it's normally even higher than that. So 25-minute wait, I'm like, yes, perfect. Here we go. This is one of my goals for the event. Gonna do this. And I kid you not, this was the greatest character meet and greet experience I've probably ever had. I like meeting characters. I've had really good one with like Squidward. I had a fun time with Squidward at Universal. I had a good one with Captain America, mostly Universal. With Captain America at Universal, Rogue and Storm were cool. But this one was just so magical, I guess is the best word to use here. But it was just so cool because you're waiting in line, you get in there, you get kind of hyped up because you hear the Nightmare Before Christmas music and all that stuff. You can't hear them at all, but you can hear the music. And then my time comes up and I get to go in and I'm handing my stuff off, my trick or treat bag to the worker and my phone so they can take the photo for me and all that, which bravo to Disney for doing that. I think Universal does as well. But they do. They've done that for me with the Raptor encounter I'm talking about. They do that as well. So I was handing that off. Before I can even get done handing that off to them, Jack and Sally are in my face. Like they've already walked over to me. And if you've ever done character meet and greets at theme parks, normally you walk up to them, right? You have to walk in. They're set in their certain area. You walk up to them. Before I've done that with Buzz and like Mickey Mouse and all this stuff. You walk over to them. They came over to me, man, and we led me over to the stage, and we were talking the whole time leading up to the stage. Like they came over to me, it's like Sally's like, "Oh, look, it's a werewolf in mid transformation." I'm like, "Oh, she's already stole my heart." And they're both talking back and forth about that and Halloween and all that stuff. And it was just such an awesome, awesome experience. I loved that meet and greet so much, and it's just something I look back positively about. an experience that could have been absolutely dreadful and miserable and a waste of time and just waste of money and all that stuff. And at the end of the day, I come out of it like that was one of the best experiences I've had, even though it sucked that I missed the Hocus Pocus show. Something that can get me to go back to the event later on, because if I saw that show and that parade, it's been basically the same from what I can understand since they started doing it. Not much has really changed there. So I know that I can do that again. And if I would have seen it this trip, I probably would have not gone back to Mickey's Not So Scary in a long, long time. Um, but now this kind of gives me a reason to go back to it eventually at some point in time. Will I do it next year? We'll see. It all depends on how things work out. But overall, doing the Haunted Mansion and that Jack and Sally meet and greet was one of the, again, greatest experiences I've had with meeting characters. And not that like there's been bad ones before, but it was just such an amazingly put together experience. And now everything was set up and everything does. And I got my picture on my Instagram if you want to check that out. It's just so cool, and absolutely loved and adored that. So that was my Disney trip. Again, I was down there for Halloween Horror Nights, so did that. Had a couple days of relaxing. Went to IOA, Islands of Adventure, Road Jurassic Park River Adventure. Love that ride to death. I had a great time. It's always like a must do for me anytime I'm at Universal, is to do the River Adventure ride because I love that. And honestly, I know a lot of people like change it to Jurassic World like it is in Hollywood. Like, don't, man. I like the fact that it's the classic ride and it's Jurassic Park and all that stuff. I like that it's that. And it did seem updated to me as well when I was going through it, as well as Spider-Man seemed like it was updated. I did Spider-Man as well. So I did those things, had a great time, and then we go to Halloween Horror Nights. We did ride ET, which was fun. ET, Peter Pan, same experience, but still cool. For what it's worth, it's like a classic experience ride and all that. But Halloween Horror Nights overall, 33. I'm not going to give you my rankings of the house here. We're going to do that on Hunter's podcast at a later time. So be on the lookout for that. And on the Throw Me Podcast Network, if you aren't already, subscribe. Uh, but Halloween Horror Nights overall, I love it. It's my main thing I look forward to every single year is to go to Halloween Horror Nights. And, just being with my friends, man. I only see them once a year. Like, I think some of them get to see each other more than that, but I get to see them like once a year because we live in different states and all that stuff. And just to see them and hang out with them and have a good time was awesome. And, that's like the thing I look back on and kind of think I'm missing now is, that hanging out with your friends experience. I miss the vibes of Halloween Horror Nights, the good times, the the music and the torture sounds going on and all that stuff is just such an experience going into it and all that stuff. As HHN 33 overall of the years I've gone to Halloween Horror Nights is in the lower tier of events. I think, this year kind of felt like a just do it kind of year more than I think they have done. Originality and experience and creativity seems a little bit better in the earlier years that I've been to the event. But and again, I started going with 28, so but what a start. Like 28 was insanely awesome. 29 is incredible, still my favorite year, and just all the things we've gone through since then. But the 33, I don't want to say it was a bad year because I had a great time. I enjoyed a lot of it. There's houses that are just spectacular. There's houses that nailed it for me, and there's just something about the event didn't feel as special as it's felt before, I guess. But that doesn't mean that it wasn't a great time because again, I'm with my friends that I only get to see like once a year, and we always make the best of it when we're there, and we have a good time, and we got our Blinky Cup drinks, and we're just vibing, having a good time. I ate a s'more freaking Ghostbuster thing that was delicious, right? So that's like that makes the trip worth it for me every year is being with those friends, right? Halloween Horror Nights overall is just the event that I love and adore and just want to be there. And that's why I go every single year is because I want to be there. I want to be in that atmosphere. They've got me, right? Like that's just my thing every year that I love. And I enjoy that, 10 haunted houses, 5 scare zones, all that stuff. And it's just always, always, always a great, fun, cool experience to be there. Some years are better than other years. That's how it's going to work with things like movie franchises. Some movies are better than other movies in the franchise, but you still love that franchise because what it is. So I had a great time. Again, we'll do house rankings and all that stuff later on Hunter's podcast, but overall, loved that trip. I have a little bit of the vacation blues right now, but my Houston Texans did just win a big primetime game. We're finally on primetime for the first time in a long time. So it was nice to see that. Good to see them win. Helps a little bit with the post-vacation blues, but overall, man, great experience. Loved every single moment of that. I got to work on my ranking list for those houses because, I'm not ready to do that because that just makes it a little more final that I'm not there with my friends and all that stuff. But still a great time. Absolutely loved it. You know, Loved it, man. Got some new shirts. Gonna buy some more shirts because, like, again, tip: Halloween Horror Nights merch discounted. The last couple of weeks that the events happens. Last couple of weeks where the event's about to end. Got to be quick on it because that stuff goes off the website very quickly after the event ends. But once you do that, stuff will be discounted and all that stuff then. So, still some shirts and posters I want to get out there. But I did get the Blumhouse Scare Zone shirt, which I think is the first ever Scare Zone thing I've ever purchased at Halloween Horror Nights. Just trying to think. Yeah, none of the posters are scare zones, and none of the shirts are scare zones. Does a Chucky shirt count? No, because it's not a Revenge of Chucky shirt. It's just a Chucky shirt. So no. Um, that's the first scare zone thing I ever bought. Love that. Got a picture with Megan. Oh, so freaking perfect. Blumhouse Zone, so awesome. Um, And then I got the Mel's die-in shirt, which I feel like is a must. I don't know how long they're going to make merchandise like that. This might be the only time they make merchandise like that. So I had to get that. Plus, it's Universal Annual Pass holder exclusive shirt. At least it's supposed to be, but they didn't ask me for my pass. So, but I did. I was holding on my pass at the time, so they already knew. Anyways, so got that, and then I got, of course, the Chucky popcorn bucket. They had a new one, so now I got both of them. The original one, and now the one that came out this year is the Scarface Chucky. And then I got a Chucky cup that is a bloody drip cup. If you hold it upside down, the blood moves around. I was expecting more out of that, I guess, than what I got, but at the same time, really cool cup. And enjoying that. And they got me some Blinky cups and all that good stuff. So I had a great time. Great trip as always. Love seeing my friends. Love them to death, and had a blast, man. And that's gonna do it for this episode. So appreciate you listening along all the way to the end. Hopefully you did. I had a great time. It was wonderful, wonderful moments, and appreciate you. So that'll do it for this week's episode. Beetlejuice review, stuff that's happening in DC, stuff that's happening in the Wizarding world, and my trip review. So there you go, man. Appreciate you all. Love you all. Thank you for listening to the show and supporting the show through all the years. We're going to continue to keep going and going and going because I love doing the show. Share with your friends, share with whoever, help build it up and all that good stuff. But as always, remember that you are extremely important. You matter to this world. Whether you're going through tough times or not, just understand that you are important. You are enough. You are incredible. You're capable of incredible things. You have something inside of you that will lead to um, great awakenings and great experiences and strong abilities and all that. You have that inside you. Believe in yourself, trust in yourself, love yourself, and always remember that happiness can be found even in the darkest of times if one only remembers to turn on the light. Talk to you all next episode.